Assalamu alaikum, friends, and you're listening to Women's Rights Are Human Rights. And today we are with you, Aisha,
And Farida.
and we welcome everyone. And today we're going to discuss the subject of delivering babies in the hospital and C sections and how the doctors are treating you and what to expect um, from our personal experience. And this is real life. Let's go.
السلام عليك يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا حبيبي يا نبي الله.
Okay, Farida, we know that you delivered both of your babies at the hospital, so would you be so kind, share your experience with us and tell us what happened?
Yes, it was actually my experience when I came was very, will not say unique, but it was very traumatic for me because I gave birth when I was my first child. I was around 34, which is pretty late, and I mean pretty late from where I'm coming from. That's what I'm trying to say. And I was ready to have my baby, I think, when I get pregnant. At 6 months, we decide to move from Switzerland to here. But we were kind of stressed out because, like every move, we had to be to figure out everything. So I think that's also exacerbates everything because it was like we had to find out everything on our own. And I never lived here in America, so to know where to go, the doctors, I had to change, I think, 2 3 time doctors. The first doctors was an Indian. She told me my baby was already dead. Um, and that was just after I came, like maybe a month. So I was already 7 months.
And that was here in
And
America, right?
yeah, I was here in America,
Why
in
would you say
California.
that?
It was Rancho Cucamonga, not far from Riverside. That lady, I find her and I went there, I took an appointment. I want to have to start figure it out how I can have the doctor,
Mm-hmm.
and where I can give birth and stuff like that. So they suggest me to start with a doctor just to see me first, and then they will advise me on where to go and stuff like that. So I decided to do that. I took the appointment, went to see her. She checked me, came out. All of it was not 8 minutes. And then she said, your baby is dead. You need to make an appointment, and we're gonna have to do a procedure to take your baby out because it's dangerous.
Wow.
And it was like me and my husband, we were so at that time I was not really speaking very well English. I was completely confused, and she did not give more time than that. Like she just gave the information and said, "Okay, yeah, okay, thank you," and just we were pushed out of the door and like bye bye.
Mm-hmm.
So my husband was tearful. I remember he was tearful, and I was like, "No, don't cry. I feel my baby. Feel
Mm-hmm.
my baby. She's not. I don't believe her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe her at all." So we went home. We calmed down, and I booked another appointment with another lady.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like. It was rough from start to finish. I mean, it was just like, when somebody's not talking to you, you go to the gynecolog, how you call it, and then
Mm-hmm.
you have to just lay there on the table, open the legs, and they come. They're not even looking at you, talking to you, exchanging with you, asking a question, or even if they ask you the question, I really like it's rude. I mean, it was just rude. The experience was rude. So I changed again another doctor because I'm also stubborn. So I'm like, I will not accept. I will not be treated like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
I
then
keep
the
changing
second
till
the
I found.
second doctor, did she confirm that your baby was alive?
Yeah, actually, she went. No, she checked me, and they said they're gonna have to do like some tests to see how far I was and this, because I said to them, I went to a doctor. The doctor said my baby. They say like, oh, we cannot confirm anything before we do any test. We don't know where you were before, and it was, they were making it complicated. So I went out of there and I say I need another doctor again. And somebody told me, there is a good doctor. She's a Black African American. I like her. She's the one. Apparently, she used to be with that lady. I mean, to be, um, she knows the lady, so she referred me to that lady, and that's how I met that lady. And it was pretty good. She was a nice doctor. It was a complete experience with her. Then they told me that I have, because I fell when I was young at the hospital, at one of my job that I was doing at the time, and I hurt my coccyx. I don't know, the little bone behind the the last bone of the spine.
Mm-hmm.
So they were like, oh, with the condition of your spine, you may have problem and complication if you give birth, and we don't want it to be broke or something like that. So maybe you will go with the C-section. Me being the first, having my baby, and then to tell you the truth, I was having so much things in my head, so I just trusted them. I did not really research. I did not take the time. I was like, oh, okay, since the vibe was good with her, I'm like, okay, probably is the best thing to do. I'm open to that. They say, are you open? I say, okay. She said to me, I can refer you to a good lady. I know her. She's my friend and stuff. I said, okay. That's how we visited the hospital where I will give birth. They show us the bedroom and everything. Everything is good. It's like a process that they do. You go there and visit the hospital, which is good. It makes you feel like, okay, I know at least where I'm going, how it will look like and stuff like that. Because still, when you pregnant, you're like, oh my God, that day, how it will be, how it will be, how it will be. You keep asking yourself some questions.
Yeah, you
And
don't know
it's
what to
kind of good.
expect, especially with the first
Yeah,
baby.
you don't know what to expect, and it's very anxious. It makes you anxious to feel that way. You want to know at least a little something. So what happened is that the C-section of my son, my first son, was well done by this lady. MashaAllah, she was careful. She did a great job. But the experience at the hospital by the nurse, oh my gosh, was very, 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 I can't even forget the feeling that I felt. I was so much organized with my nest, I did the nesting, so I organized myself. I was ready, I had the contraction that day. I remember that day I had 10 people at my house. So I cooked all day. I was busy doing things. I felt the contractions early in the morning. I keep doing my thing till they finished eating around midnight. Everybody went home, subhanallah. Then I was like, okay, yalla, we need to take everything and go to the hospital, because I have been feeling those contractions for a moment now. And I think we're ready. We can go. So we head up, because it was far. The hospital was far, like maybe, 50, if I remember, 50 minutes.
Wow.
And we drove there, and nobody is there. Like the contractions begin to be like, very much close and higher and painful.
So what do you mean nobody was there? There was no, like, it was closed, or?
No, nobody was there in the hospital. I mean, it's empty. You just have one nurse that said, oh, she's there for the night, and then they switch her. Then they took a moment. I remember I was waiting for a long time. Then they say, oh, I have to wait there. I have to wait. But nobody, there was no conversation whatsoever. I was just left alone in the room by myself. And they make sure that I have those tubes, and they put stuff on me, and I was just waiting there.
What about your doctor who was watching you over the several months?
No, the doctors didn't come, because the doctors, that's the thing. Doctors that you think will be there for you, they are not. She just referred me to another doctor there. is not the one that was following me all those months. You see, this is also the uncertainty of going to corporate and hospitals, because they can switch just like that. They can tell you, this doctor is not here. Your doctor is not here today.
Exactly.
This, you're gonna have this other person. That's it. You cannot choose, and you cannot. Their schedule is not around you. They don't,
Right. I
So
know what you're saying.
yeah, so that makes it complicated. You keep changing faces to faces to faces, and nobody knows you. You're always a new case. So let's say you come there with complication, you have to explain and explain before they open your case and see and know. Sometimes they don't forward your information properly, and things are very complicated. So in my case, I was telling them that I was prepared for C-section, and they was arguing with me like they don't know about it, and I said, you need to go check what they say in there. I don't know.
So
I don't know what
you
she said, but
agreed to have a cesarean yourself, right? Like after she
yes, the lady
explained it to
told me
you?
that it was better. Me, I didn't know better. You
I
see,
see.
that's
So
the
she
thing.
just
I was
convinced you.
not educated. Look, I have never dreamed of having children. I was the kind of lady that I thought I will never have children, to tell you the truth. Because that's why I was 34 when I get them. I went to school, I finished, I worked 11 years before I get to children. Before I start putting children in my mind. I think when I get 34, that's when I begin to dream about baby. I remember I have a friend who was pregnant. That's when I felt like those women have this feeling. I want to have a child. I want to have a child. I never had them. So for me, I was like going by what she's telling me, because I don't know better. Now, if you go ask me, would you do again? I was like, definitely no. It was a big mistake. I was not educated on it. They don't push you to go with natural birth. They don't push it. Because of course, later on you found out when you go through a C-section, it's more expensive. They're making money on you. Every time C-section is just they cut, easy for them. They don't have to go through this thing. They take the baby, that's it. And they charge a 50 or 60, whatever the case is. So hopefully the bird in himself, the cut, what I'm trying to say, the C-section was done by a really good surgeon. That's what I can say. She was a good surgeon. She did a good job. I healed properly, quick, and then I was not in pain, so much pain for a long time. I can tell the difference, because later on it was not like that with my daughter. An Indian give me the C-section. It was completely another experience. So after the C-section, one thing I noticed, I heard, I learned about later on, is that they cut the cordon umbilical when they take the baby quickly. You have like a curtain between you and the doctors. So when they cut you, they take the baby. What happened is that they will cut quickly the cordon umbilical, and the umbilical cordon, I say umbilical cordon or cordon umbilical?
Umbilical cord,
I'm
yes.
confused in English and French right now.
No problem.
Umbilical cordon, right? So the umbilical cordon has a lot of blood that should go back to the baby in a few seconds. If you just wait a little bit, the baby get back that blood.
Yeah, it kind of takes about 10 to 15 minutes, maybe sometimes longer, but yeah, you have to wait.
Yeah.
Because that's like a big percentage of the blood in there.
The time you let him on the baby, you're on you, and have the skin to skin, and just getting it goes back, inshallah. So, but they don't do that. They cut it very quick. They collect the blood, because it's a free blood, and it's a lot of blood, and they let the baby at risk. And later on, they come every single second in your room to check on your baby, because they are scared he's gonna do the jaundice or something.
He's gonna get the disease.
The jaundice, yeah, it's a disease where they turn yellow, jaundice, So jaundice, or jaundice. So I can check later on what it is exactly. But they come and they charge you for that exam that they will do to see he's not, because he will have to. His little liver and all his organs are so small, and it will Yeah, so I was saying that they will collect the blood and let your baby at risk to develop the jaundice, which is a disease because he's not producing enough blood. And of course, it would take time for him to produce that blood. So if they take 2 liter from him, it would take few days for him to produce that amount of blood back. So they just let him at risk like that. And then they will charge you for that, which is I found very, very. I was very upset when I found that.
Okay, I
And
wanted to pause you right here, and I just checked online the average cost, and I'm sure everybody would be interested because whenever you go to the hospital to deliver the baby, the first thing you're asking how much is gonna cost me, right? And I just pulled up like an average cost of delivery in USA, and it says the vaginal birth is around $13,000, and a cesarean is around $22,000. So you see, they're making $9,000 more on each cesarean. And that makes sense why the doctors keep pushing every other lady to do the C-section, because it's more money. So it all became about the business, not about the childbirth and the good experience and the health of the mom.
yeah,
So
and
whenever they try to
it's even
convince you,
double.
you have to double check with another doctor. And I would recommend a midwife, because midwives are certified doctors to deliver babies naturally, and I always try to look for the way to deliver naturally, even if doctors in the
Yeah,
hospital they tell
yeah,
you there's no way. So I would always advise ladies, like in your case, when I know you went through 3 different doctors, but they were all tied up to the hospital, so you never consulted a midwife who would be like looking at your bone,
best
like that
interest.
that you
Yeah.
broke, and would tell you, like, she would maybe look at your x-rays and see how well it healed, and she would tell you if it's possible for you to have a natural birth, because midwives, they're also not going to take a risk if there is a risk for you to be in trouble, or to have a complication during the delivery or break a bone. They will not take a risk on themselves, so they're not
Mm-hmm,
like so
mm-hmm,
careless, but they will analyze your analysis properly, and it will tell you if there is a risk or you can deliver naturally.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
All right, so
Yeah, I think the misinformation that and also I think the third world countries, like when we come here, we just adore those corporate. We think it's the best because anyway we don't have hospitals. Like if I have to see, although me, I was born in France and I raised I grew up also in Switzerland and stuff. I was just few moments in Africa, but still you have this mentality to think that, oh, here is the best, here is better because the structure is there. There's something there. So for you just go blindly, you just trust them. It's hard for you to think that, oh, this is a machine, that you are just a number there for producing money. And some of the time, like I heard horrible stories about women that even lost their babies, that they take the babies from them. All kind of stories that you will hear from hospital. But experiences from hospital is always that you are never being really taken care take
taken care
there's
of.
no empathy. It's more like quick. Everybody comes, and you have 3 different nurse that comes in, come out, 5, even sometimes 10. This one comes out, you just have the time to have a connection with her. She's maybe nice, smiling to you, talking, you have a connection, then whoop, she's gone. Her shift is finished, another one comes, and it's very stressful.
And another
Can you
thing, when you're laid down there in labor, and sometimes a group of students come and they start observing you and writing something in their notebooks, that's so annoying, because
Oh yeah,
the
like
medical
they just
students.
come in there. They just come in there. They just come in there. Sometimes it can be a man. He just come there and stick sometime in his thing in you. You just looking at them. You're like, what's going on? What happened here? And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
they don't respect anything.
They
They will
they
not ask.
rotate the people on you, and there's no privacy, and there's so many people
No
come in and
privacy.
out.
Yeah, no privacy whatsoever. There is no. They're not. And they will not even come and tell you, oh, are you like we Muslim, we don't want to be touched by men, and you're not prepared for that. And just somebody comes in there, he's a man, and here you are just looking at him like, what? And he's like, yeah, I'm sorry, that's only me tonight, and and just they just push it on you. And what you want to do? Get up on your table and start fighting with them?
And you
You
don't
are
have
in
any
a
other
position
choice.
where you cannot. Sometimes you are so shocked that you freeze. Most of the women just freeze. They're just looking at it like they cannot believe. It's like a show. So, and then you're scared also. Some of the women like me, I'm very outspoken. I will tell my mind. I will tell them. I remember with Ziva, one of the men, he came in. I think it's, yeah, and I told him to get out. I told him right now, get out. You need to get out right now. And my husband was like, he was trying to calm me down, calm Sal in the room and everybody, and I was getting very red in there. And but that's how it goes with them. You
Yeah,
have to be. But some of the
anybody on duty, they're gonna serve the people in the hospital.
yeah, they
Man,
just
woman,
go,
they
they
don't
just
care.
push on things. They push you. It's never
Exactly.
what you want. It's like you feel that you don't have any. They just want to take every control that you have.
Exactly.
It's all about what they want. It's like militarized. Actually, that's the word. It's very militarized.
And they
Like you
try to
do this,
push
you
you.
do this, you do that. And if you don't want to comply in those policies that those steps that they already have done, they will tell you that's how it goes, blah blah. No, we cannot have one way going for everyone. There is
Exactly.
no way. People come with different condition, different background, different situation, different religion, different everything. But they want to put everyone in the same bag, and because it's easier, for them. So they have that form, and everybody has to fit in that form.
Tell me, how did you heal? Because whenever they do the C-section, they cut 7 layers of your skin. How did the stitches heal, and how long did it
Oh, with
take you
my
to
daughter, it
recover?
was horrible. I did not heal. Actually, I'd had the postpartum depression. I discovered that later on. My husband sent me to my sister. I went to live in Dubai with my sister. She took care of me, and there I was very pale, very not. They know me. I'm very, and I have a lot of energy. And I couldn't do anything. She said, Farida, that's not right. You need to go see someone. You need to go see that lady. She's good. She was from Pakistan, and she was nice, mashallah. It was nice to see a Muslim. I was in Dubai, and there they respect a lot of Muslim women there, mashallah. Even taxi, when you take the taxi, is a woman. You call taxi, if you're a woman, you just have a woman. It's so refreshing. I loved it. I really loved it. So she took care
Who
of me.
was that
It was
lady?
Ramadan. She said there's no way you can do Ramadan because you're bleeding internally. You're not healing. That's why you have anemia. He didn't cut you very well. He was an Indian. He was cutting me. The table was moving when he was cutting me.
That's
the
for
table
the
was moving.
second delivery, right?
The second delivery was very bad. Like he was so rude. His face, sometimes I dream of it. I see his face. He has this really, yeah. It was a bad experience. I hated him. I hate the whole experience. But I should have. Sometimes I regret why I didn't tell him to stop everything. To just stop. I want another doctor or something. But I don't know if I could have done that, or they would have listened to me. I don't know. And it was in
this
Vegas.
was
Vegas was
a
the
male.
worst experience I ever had.
This
Even
was
to have a doctor that can see you, everything is difficult for women in Vegas, and they
so.
charge you so much.
Wait a second. So this was done in Las Vegas, you said, the second delivery?
Yes, in
And this was
Vegas.
the doctor you've seen all your 9 months, or he was just on duty in the hospital at that day?
No, because at this time we didn't have like Medicaid or something like that. I had to pay, so you cannot have one doctor. And we were trying to find ways to have it cheap, but every appointment was, oh my God, it was a nightmare. I went to Parent Planhood or something like that. They were trying to charge me, I don't know, maybe 30 something dollar. I said, no, I'm not paying for a bird $30.
30 or 30,000, you mean?
30,000. 30 bucks.
Yes, that's like my experience in Las Vegas. I've lived a lot of years there, and every other friend I have who went to deliver in a hospital, they were done C-section. And believe me, the stories I've heard from them, oh my gosh, like these doctors, they will bring anything to convince that lady to do a C-section. One lady, she was an athlete. She was so strong. Like the second day of the delivery, I saw her working out. She was my neighbor. She went out to work out. She was so strong. There is no way that she needed a C-section. She could deliver that baby. They created a story that her pelvic was too tight for the baby to pass through. I said, what is this craziness? What? How come? Like stories they tell you, it's like, oh, like you have this thing and that thing just to convince you for the C-section. And some friends I had that they didn't want a C-section, and I talked to them about it. I said, listen, if you go there early, they will cut you. They will force you to get the C-section, with any conviction. And you go there, you trust, like you said, you trust the doctors because they know better, right? That's what you think, they know better. And then she said, I don't want a C-section. She cried, and she was like a little bit overdue, and she was carrying a baby. She was overdue, and her doctor, the OBGYN, she told her, like, if by tomorrow you don't deliver, we're gonna go and do the C-section for you. You see, so the doctor's already convincing her. Her contraction didn't even start. Like a midwife would tell you, just go and wait for the natural contraction. And the doctor is like, on time, if this didn't happen on this specific day, we're doing the C-section. Why do you have to force? Allah has his timing for the baby. Deliver it. If the baby is healthy, the mom is healthy, the baby is moving, you don't have to rush it.
That's why they always have this date. Oh, the baby come, he didn't come now, so now we want to. This is all because I didn't understand why they're pushing it to know exactly the date. Now I understand the date is about so they can give you like a due date, and then if the due date pass, so they can come with all kind of stories. And they know some women don't calculate very well. It's very there is a big chances that you have 2 weeks earlier, or 2 weeks
of course
on top.
You don't know exactly the day you
know exactly. Subhanallah,
you got pregnant.
But they're trying to make it like they know it. This is exactly the date right there, based on nothing. Subhanallah.
And believe me,
my previous
midwife,
no way to prove exactly when you get pregnant.
Right.
There's no way to prove. Till now, they cannot do that. But they will find a date and they will assign you that date. And if that date you pass, then it becomes a risk. You have to come and cut it up.
Exactly. And that's, believe me, my previous midwife said that even the calendar, the most of the clinics, the doctors they follow to set up the due date is wrong. And all of them, they know it's wrong, but they still follow it because majority of the people, it's a law or whatever, they just follow it, so this is ridiculous. Anyway, so that friend of mine, she told me that she cried. She didn't want to have a C-section, so she went for a walk. She read online that if you walk, the gravity is going to help you, deliver the baby. And she started walking a lot. She walked for several hours. In the morning, her contraction started. So contraction started, and she went to the hospital, and her husband actually, because she was in pain, when you're in pain, you're just ready, just cut me, do something, just take this baby out. You can't think straight. So she talked to her husband at home, and her husband was actually fighting on her behalf with the doctors at the hospital not to cut her. Like they were trying to approach her and they were trying to push, like, we need to do the C-section. She cannot deliver natural. They were creating different stories, and he was just yelling at them. And sometimes
they call the police. They can catch the husband and say that he's interfering and he's
no. Nobody is gonna call the police until he throws hands. Like he didn't, he was just protecting his wife. This is their right, He doesn't fight.
There is a case. Physically. I'm just telling you, there was a case that I knew of. They called the police on the husband. The doctor called the police on the husband, and they came. They took him. Yes.
Oh my God. No, but in her case, they didn't take him. He was just fighting and protecting. I don't know how he was talking to them, but he was being polite or he was yelling. I don't know. But he fought for her rights, and she delivered the baby naturally. Even with all the force of the doctor saying that she has to have a cesarean, she delivered the baby naturally. Can you imagine
how stressful it should have been? It is.
Imagine what you're going through. You're already in the pain, and you have to also fight with somebody.
She has to worry. She has to worry that they will force her to do something she doesn't want.
Exactly, and that's
really
not only one.
It's really traumatic.
That's not only one case. I'm telling you, I've been hearing these stories from ladies all over. And this is upsetting me so much. This is upsetting me so much. This is not supposed to happen. This is our women rights. This is
And
our
just to go back to that, to the thing, you don't know, women don't talk about it. I was dry for the 5 years after my birth. I
you.
couldn't develop the, the recover my womanhood. Like, how can I say that? The vagina will not produce anymore, everything that is supposed to produce. It just gets, because there is something, I don't know why, but it doesn't heal properly. You heal inside, but then it takes time. It takes time. This is not worth it at all. If I had to go back, I will never go that road again. The whole experience. And
So you
it's very
didn't you
traumatic.
didn't have like feelings, like female feelings towards your husband, you mean?
No, no, not like that. Like, you have problem, you always dry. Like, you
Oh, it
don't have the
hurts
mucus,
you.
that the natural mucus that women have. You don't have the, you
Mm-hmm.
know
Mm-hmm.
yes, you don't water easily. Yes, you can catch easily disease because you dry. You know what I mean? Everything
Mm-hmm.
that protects you inside is not there anymore.
Yeah, and plus all the stitches inside and outside. Like my mom,
Yes,
she had a
but it
C-section with
goes
her
for
second
five
birth.
years. It goes for 5 years and up.
She
You don't
she
heal
is
like
she is
this.
53 now. She said I can still feel the stitches, like it's fresh, until now.
Yeah,
So it's never
yeah.
it never heals well, for the women. Like,
No, it never heal. Even me, I can feel them. And then the last one, he make it like he pull it in a way. He was cutting chapati or something. I don't know. He just, this Indian man. And some of them, they even get, they when they do the stitches, they make you like a smiley, so you think it's like a smiley here. They make, so you have like a fat when you grow up. The fat cannot really heal your belly. It's not, never go back fully
mm-hmm,
flat.
mm-hmm.
It makes like pocket here, pocket there, pocket here, and pocket there. You never
Yeah, they
heal
make it
properly.
ugly when they stitch. I know. Yeah, they don't
Yeah,
stitch well. So
yeah. There's a lot of
this
stuff
is
going
this
on
is
with
a
that.
really big issue, and I call all the ladies whoever went through the same things. Please join us with this podcast. Share your stories, and we need to hear more voices in order to fight for our rights. This is not supposed to be happening because this is crazy. This is devastating. It destroys lives of the so many women for years until you heal with all the stitches, and it gives you a bad experience because no lady forever forgets her delivery day or her birth experience. It also does not let babies to come out healthy because they cut the blood. They don't let the blood to go to the baby. The mom is having depression because she couldn't deliver naturally, so it creates a huge disaster and hardship in our environment. So please, anybody has the story, contact us, email us, or text, comment under this podcast, and we will connect with you and we will hear you out and we will post it out there. Thank you for being with us today, and you were
Inshallah.
listening to Women's Rights are Human Rights, and we will be back next week.